Here's to the babies in a brand new world. And here's to the beauty in the stars. Here's to the travelers on the open road. Here's to the dreamers in the bars. Here's to the teachers in the crowded rooms. And here's to the workers in the fields. Here's to the preachers of the sacred word. Here's to the drivers at the wheel. Here's to you, my love, with blessings from above, let the day begin. Here's to you, my love, with blessings from above, let the day begin. Here's to you, my love, with blessings from above, let the day begin.
Yeah, that worked. Well, I apologize for running behind today. I was downstairs trying to figure out and make sure that the new coffee machine was working correctly, because it's not exactly like what we have at home, so it's a matter of. But this will be nice because you make 1 cup of coffee at a time, so we don't end up with the great big pots that aren't being used and so forth. So it just makes 1 cup, and the beans are ground as you're making the coffee, so it's all nice and fresh. And shortly we will have a water purifier which will help take the stuff out of the Lincoln City water that affects the taste of the coffee. So that'll be set up this week. Anyway, enough for excuses. Welcome. So nice to see you all here today. And look how nice it is outside right now. At least not doing what it was doing overnight. I don't know about any of your places, but man, it's been interesting at our house. And my rain gauge isn't working. So I look out at the creek, and it's up this much. I look at my rain gauge, and it says 33/100ths of an inch of rain. I'm going, this isn't working. Not at all. But anyway, back to today. It was a lovely drive in. I imagine it was interesting coming through the corridor.
It was beautiful.
It'd be gorgeous. Were there a lot of down trees and that's? No? Okay. Coming in from Panther Creek on our back roads and so forth, I could see where there were a lot of trees down that had been moved off the road. So, and we kept losing our power. We've been playing that game for a while, which gets interesting. Especially when somebody's in the middle of watching a football game. Oh, they get testy. Oh, do they? Yes. Well, anyway, back to today and this morning. We have Reverend Lorena with us this morning. Very glad. And Randy is with us. Very glad also. So, anyway, welcome so much. And at this point in time, I'm going to light the Christ candle. And as always, it's strictly meant to just be a visual reminder of the Christ light that is within all of us at all points in time. Especially when the wind's blowing and howling and it's raining and you don't know but your roof's going to blow off. You can say, okay, everything's okay. Divine order, it's great, not a problem. And it can help calm you down. I know. Lorena, would you like to do that?
Yeah, let's go into prayer. Sweet Spirit, we start this day together by saying those 2 simple yet very profound words, thank you. Thank you for the rain and the clouds. Thank you for the sunshine. Thank you for the beautiful fall colors and those winds that are blowing, because we know it's the winds of change. And we trust that when the winds of change blow, it clears away the old, always making way for whatever wonderful, exciting things are to come. And so we relax into that knowing, trusting the process, having faith in life. And we're so grateful to have this beautiful community to gather in this morning together. And with that knowing, we say, thank you, God. Amen. Thank you, God. Okay. And let's sing. We've got some lyrics for you in your bulletin. I'm choosing heaven today. And then we're going to rotate those words. So if you don't know this, I can't remember if we've done this recently, but you'll catch on quickly. How about we stand up this morning? I'm choosing heaven today. I'm choosing heaven today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing I'm choosing heaven today. And let's choose love. I'm choosing love today. I'm choosing love today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing I'm choosing love today. And how about peace? I'm choosing peace today. I'm choosing peace today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing I'm choosing peace today. How about a little light? I'm choosing light today. I'm choosing light today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing I'm choosing light today. And let's finish up with joy. I'm choosing joy today. I'm choosing joy today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing I'm choosing joy today. I am walking the road of heaven right now, singing I'm choosing joy today. Thank you. You may be seated.
Nice. Very nice. Okay, now's the time when I remind you of the prayer box. And you will find prayer requests on the back of the pews. Anything that you have that you would like to go into this box, just fill the puppy out, put it in the bowls when they come around, or directly in the box, or back in the corner, or whatever. And also would like to remind you at this point in time, we have the November and December daily words out here, and they're available. If you pick them up from us, they're $3 a piece. So disregard the $6.95 on the back. From us, they're $3. So that's our November and December daily word. And then also, I'm doing the announcements today. John has asked me to do them. So I'm going to be reading his announcements. What a special Sunday we're having. We've got Reverend Lorena and Randy, which I already told you. And then speaking of next week, we're going to hear from Pete Hume. He's going to be speaking, and Randy's going to be doing the music. And then also, speaking of Pete, which actually we were, our first quote, Wednesday night dinner with Pete, held on Thursday night, was a great success. Judy and I were both here. John's announcement. Pete's doing it again next Thursday, so be sure to join us. The food's great, Pete's great, the company's great, and 3-dog night provided great entertainment. It's Unity by the Sea. You want activities? You've got activities. Okay. The other big news item is that we have purchased a house for the golf cart. And John and I went to Salem last week and went to Home Depot and got it all put together. Tom and Marcy and Cheryl located one in Salem, and so we had to go over to put the deal together, because if you put it together over the internet, they were going to charge you $299 to deliver it. Yes, so we drove to Salem to order it. By driving to Salem and ordering it in person, it cost us probably $125, something like that, to have it delivered. But it's going to be arriving this Tuesday, and sometime. It's one of those things of, oh, we'll call you about a half hour before we get there. So at that point in time when they call, John will come in, and hopefully we'll be able to have them deliver it down here instead of up there, because it's like 400 pounds, and I don't know how big, other than there was no way it was going to fit in any of our vehicles. So we did have to have it delivered. But then also, we've got to figure out how we're going to get it put together, when we're going to get it put together, and all of that sort of thing. And right now, it's being predicted that we're going to have some nice days of weather this next week. So if there'd be any way we could get it, figured out where we're going to put it, or even start setting it up or whatever, it would really be a big help. So any ideas or suggestions you have on that, please talk to John about it or me about it, because it's going to be cool when we get to put our little cart in a house, so it doesn't have to put up with all this weather. And then also, Pete has asked that he could announce something today.
Well, I just want to talk really quick about the dinner thing I'm doing, which is, basically just dinner. Let's have a community dinner where we get together if you've got time to stop by. I know that said Thursday. I was thinking Wednesday. I don't really care if anybody wants to have dinner. Let me know. But I think this coming Wednesday is my plan to make dinner. I made spaghetti and meatballs. I'm probably going to use leftovers, make spaghetti and meatballs again. Last week I turned on little Alan Watts and Alice and Alan Watts, which was awfully nice of my parents to come and join me and not leave me and Alan Watts alone downstairs, but we would have been if not. So this coming Wednesday, something similar. We'll have dinner, camaraderie, some visiting, some philosophy, and spaghetti and meatballs. So if you can come, if you know somebody who's hungry, please send them. If there's nobody coming to this dinner, then I'm not going to feed. So if you meet someone who's hungry, then send them my way. That's what I have to say.
And what time is it, Peter?
Oh, 5:30. 5:30, yeah, that's what I figured. So I figured it's a good time. Yeah, I think 5:30 is all right.
Wednesday?
Yes,
Yeah.
Wednesday.
And, my thought on it is this. Here this little church is trying to grow support, grow membership. To do that, we need to be a community doing the stuff of spiritual path. And so I invite anybody to just do a thing that you would want to do with this building and be part of that, And if you want to do something and we want to publicize that, we start with a bulletin, we get it out to the community. There are things that we can do that will be powerful in this community, will make a difference now. And I think that's, my thought on the dinner is that's a difference for me. It's a difference to sit there and do something. And it's a difference for somebody who's hungry, then they should come.
That talk was just given to you by our new official member of the Unity by the Sea community director
pretty fancy
team.
Community director.
Yes, he's part of the team for that. So. Okay. At this point in time, we're going to do the October affirmation. And you'll find the cards for that in your bulletin. And we'll do the one for Unity by the Sea first, please. We love and care for Unity by the Sea, for it houses the sacred beings we are. And then for ourselves, I love and care for my body, for it houses the sacred being I am. And today I've asked Rose if she will do the daily word.
Good morning. I am joy-filled and radiant. These words to a popular Unity hymn perfectly express the deep and boundless joy in my soul. I am the radiant life of God. I am, I am, I am. Divine happiness is my birthright, and I express that radiant happiness in many ways. Through a warm smile I share with others, through my uplifting words, and through the helpful actions I take on behalf of others. Like a cork that floats to the surface, my soul is naturally inclined to rise up in a state of joy. I don't let negativity hold me down. Instead, I am buoyed up by my relationship with God. My connection to Spirit helps me live from a joy-filled awareness. I am energized and uplifted. The joy I feel in my soul is an expression of the radiant life of God that courses throughout my being. Let me hear joy and gladness. Psalm 51:8.
And at this point in time, I believe Randy is doing some music.
You know, I think I may have done this song here before, but I was talking to Lorena earlier in the week and talking about, going down the same path and wondering why we get to the same place. And many years ago, I was up in Wilsonville at the Living Enrichment Center. Mary Morrissey gave a little talk on how frustrated the bell ringer was that the bell kept ringing. He didn't like the sound of the bell. And he was the bell ringer. Tough gig. Pull down on that same chain and the ringing won't cease. Pulling down on that old chain, finding no peace. Let go now, let go now, let the ringing be quiet. Let his plan be your plan. Let go, just try it. On the waves and in the current, tossed around and around and around. In the deep of the river, that's where heaven is found. Unchanging, eternal, where the truth abides in silence forever. His grace will not hide. Looking down that same road for a new destination. Bringing on the hell of repeating frustration. There's an answer forever that your heart can own. Let go, let go. Look around your new home. Let go, let go. Look around your new home. There's peace beyond measure awaiting you. A heart free of anger to guide you through wonder why. Your mind is a living hell. Let go of that old chain that's been ringing your bell. Looking down that same road for a new destination. Bringing on the hell of repeating frustration. There's an answer forever where your heart can own. Let go, let go. Look around your new home. Let go, let go. Look around your new home.
Thank you, Randy. I like that line. Let go of the chain that's been ringing your bell. I think that says it all. Well, good morning. So today we're talking about a new state of being. And I know some of us were here last week and some of us weren't. And I want to revisit, Reverend Georgie was here last week, and with her permission, to just do a little review of what she had talked about, because I think it's such a powerful message, and I wanted to build on that today. So last week she was talking about the 4 levels or stages of consciousness. The first being to me, where we look at life through eyes where life is happening to me. So I'm a victim of circumstance, and I have no power at all. And then the second level is when we kind of move a little bit, and now we see the world as by me. So I'm feeling more empowered, and I'm going to make everything happen. Now, that's kind of the other end of the spectrum from having no power. And it's still not being in companion with our spirit. So as we move along through that stage, and we all go through these stages many, many times, and sometimes we're bouncing in and out of stages. So then the next one is through me, what we kind of refer to as vessel consciousness, where we feel like God is working through me. A much more empowering place to be. And yet there's one more level, which is referred to as verity consciousness, which is as me, where I am walking as the light. We sang that last week. I am walking as the light. I am walking as spirit, as God. And in that frame of mind, you can see there is no separation. There is no God out there. There is no God in here. We are one. That is a true sense of unity, and I think that's where we all strive to be, and yet we bounce back and forth. And I like to not, sometimes it's tempting to think of these stages as horizontal, right? So that one is greater than the other, one is above another. And I would invite us to think of them more as a linear process where, right, because we all know that wherever we are in this moment is perfect, is exactly where we need to be to learn whatever it is that we need to learn. And so it doesn't make us less if we're in a moment where we're feeling like the world is happening to us. It's just a linear process that we go through. And we grow and we come back. And as I was thinking about the 4 levels, I was thinking about dark and light, and really the to me and the by me is focused a little bit more on the darkness. And we all have dark and light in us, fear, love, however you want to refer to those. And those first 2 kind of, our focus is a little bit more on the yuck of life, right? First we have no power over the yuck, and then we're going to conquer the yuck. But we're still focused on the yuck. And when we move into more of the through me and the as me, we're moving more to seeing the world through the eyes of God, through light. And so dark and light is really a continuum as well, right? So as I think about those, and then where I wanted to pick up with that was, I was thinking about the unity principles, especially number 3 and number 5. Number 3 is talking about thoughts held in mind, create after their kind, right? So we create our reality by the ways that we think. And then principle number 5 is about living and practicing the truth that we know. Because it's one thing to kind of know it intellectually, and as we've all heard a billion times, that journey from the head to the heart, it can be the longest journey that we have. And what that means is going from knowing it to knowing it, to living it, to embodying it and being it, really. And this week I get Science of the Mind magazine as well as the Daily Word, and they were featuring articles about Ernest Holmes, of course, and they said that he was often known to say, "I don't believe that. Do you believe that?" So he was a real questioner, which I think is what helps us move from the to me to the as me, is being willing to question those thoughts that we're holding. So I picked up this book recently, You Are the Placebo, and it's fascinating book. It's a good read. I highly recommend it. Making Your Mind Matter by Dr. Joe Dispenza. And it's chock full of scientific studies and stats and all of that, which we're not going to go into today because I don't want you to glaze over. I want to talk about the juice that I found that really struck me that applies to what we're talking about here today and what Georgie spoke of last week as well, and what we really strive to live and practice in unity. He talks about the fact that we are creatures of habit. Would you tend to agree with that in yourself? If not, let me give you the specifics, and then maybe we'll ask that question again. So he said, as a human being, we have approximately 60,000 to 70,000 thoughts per day. That's a lot of, and I know that to be true in my mind, for sure, at least that, if not more. And he said about 90% of the thoughts that we think are the same thoughts that we had yesterday. Isn't that interesting? So we go through a routine, right? We all have a routine in some ways where you set an alarm, let's say, or you don't set an alarm, but you probably get up about the same time every day. You get out of bed on the same side every day. You get up, perhaps the first thing you do is use the bathroom. Maybe you brush your teeth in the same manner, applying the toothpaste in the same way, holding the toothbrush in the same hand. Are you with me? Right? Perhaps then you shower in the same manner. First you wash your hair and then you wash your body, however that goes for you. You get out, you dry off, you get dressed. Perhaps you put on your underwear first and then, right? You have a routine. Are you with me? You have a routine. You go into the kitchen, you make yourself coffee, or perhaps you started the coffee before you got in the shower, but whatever you did, you probably do the same way every day, right? You get ready, you go out of the house, you get in your car, you go to work, you do your work for the day, you rush home to make dinner in the same way that you make, and probably, if you're like me, you have a few things that you just eat over and over again, so you don't have to think about it. And perhaps after dinner, you sit down, you watch your favorite show that you watch every night, so that you can go to bed at approximately the same time every night, so that you can get the same amount of sleep, so you can get up and do it all again tomorrow in exactly the same way. So would you agree with me that we are kind of creatures of habit? And that we live the majority of our life on autopilot, right? I mean, have you ever, you get home from somewhere and you don't necessarily even remember the drive? Because you just completely kick into autopilot because you're used to driving the same route, and something takes over and you don't even have to think about it anymore. It just happens. And we all do that. And he says, here's the interesting thing about that process. So we think the same thoughts that lead us to make the same choices. And then we make the same choices that lead us to demonstrate the same behaviors. We demonstrate the same behaviors which lead us to create the same experiences. And we create the same experiences which lead us to produce the same emotions. And then the same emotions drive the same thoughts. And we're back to the beginning of the cycle and we go through it again. Does that sound about right to you? And yet, and so he says, your yesterday, this is powerful the way he says this, your yesterday becomes your tomorrow. Your past really is your future, unless you're able to do something to consciously interrupt the process. Now think about that. How many of us would look over our past and say, yes, I definitely want to create that for tomorrow? We don't. We don't do that, do we? We don't usually think like that. We think that we want it to be different. We want perhaps more financial abundance, or we want a different relationship, or we want whatever it is that we want that we know from our past because it was different than what we would have liked it to have been. But what we don't realize is that unless we consciously do something different, we will keep getting the same thing over and over again. And I think at some intellectual level, we know that. But so many of us, we don't know it. we're not practicing that, because frankly, when we start to change something in that autopilot process, it's uncomfortable. Is it not? It's uncomfortable. And what do you do when you get uncomfortable? Start to squirm a little bit. And then I know for myself, I find myself automatically, almost like that, defaulting back into a pattern that eases the discomfort. And then something in me goes, that's better. That's familiar. Right? And so the familiar becomes so comfortable, but what we don't realize is that unless we get comfortable with being uncomfortable, we will continue to create our past as our future. So we have to be willing to get a little comfortable with discomfort, to make discomfort our friend, to befriend it. So just kind of sit with that, see what you think about that. So in his book, he talks about mind is the brain in action. That's what he refers to as the mind. And that neuroscience tells us that nerve cells that fire together wire together. Okay, so there's a whole lot of scientific backup on that, but basically what he's saying, and we've heard this before, is that you create pathways in your brain, right? And the more, it's like driving down a road. The more you drive down that road, the smoother it becomes, and the more worn it becomes. And that's the way our brain works. And so when we get into these habits that we already talked about, our thoughts, our experiences, our emotions, all of that, we're creating well-worn pathways in our brain, which is why it becomes so uncomfortable to try to make a change, because we're actually working against what we've got going in our head. And he said, thinking inside the box, even though your brain is not a box, that phrase, that terminology, means that you've physically hardwired your brain into a limited pattern. So we really are creating limitations for ourselves because we get into this habit of doing the same exact things over and over, that we limit how our brain functions, how our mind functions. And so thinking outside the box, it makes the brain work in new ways. When your brain works differently, you're literally changing your mind. Not just symbolically changing your mind, you're literally changing your mind. So we create new pathways, we open up, and the reason it's uncomfortable is because it's like, okay, you've got a well-worn road here, and you've got a path that you can kind of see that goes through the trees. Have you ever been hiking on a pathway that's completely overgrown? And it's a little more difficult, isn't it, than taking the path that's been laid out and cleared out and everybody goes that way. That's what happens in your mind. So to make the change, to interrupt one of those autopilot habitual things you've got going on, you have to be willing to kind of forge a new path, to clear the brush, to keep going. And the more you go down that path, the more worn it will become, and then pretty soon, even though it was uncomfortable at first, it will become comfortable. And now what you've done is you've expanded the function of your brain. You've expanded your possibilities. You see, we hear that all the time, don't we? With God, anything is possible. With God, anything is possible, and we also know we are in a human body. And our heart, we talk about our heart so much, and I'm a huge fan of the heart and everything that symbolizes. And as a human being, we also have a brain. And we have a mind that develops these patterns. And that is what limits us, because we're not willing to try something different. And it can be something as simple as take a different road home. Go into the shower and try to wash yourself in a different sequence. Try that and see how odd it feels. It just doesn't feel right. Or get dressed in a different manner than you normally do, and you'll feel inside of yourself something going, oh, this is not right. And that's something very simple. And then think about what you go through when you're trying to make a big change in your life, such as how you think about something, how you encounter. Maybe there's a person in your life that keeps ringing your bell, right? And they're ringing your bell because you're the one pulling the string, because you have this habitual reaction, probably based on your past with them, that you keep creating, you keep exhibiting that reaction and they don't even have to do anything anymore. All they have to do is walk into the room and you see them and the bell starts ringing, doesn't it? We all have those people in our life, don't we? And you see what that person is probably not going to change, and it's not their responsibility to change, so your bell stops ringing. Oh, wouldn't that be great if it was? Oh, that would be so good. That would be a great talk. But I can tell you, if you keep expecting that, you are finding yourself down in the to me. Life is happening to me. Right? It's happening to me. So if you want to move from that spot, you have to be willing to expand your mind, create a new pathway, and find another reaction or response to them walking in the room. And I can tell you, it will be uncomfortable. And your mind will fight with you and go, no, but. But you can do it. I know you can do it. We can all do this. And when you can do that, and it'll be uncomfortable, right? It'll be that path less taken, the road not taken, and every time they walk in the room for a while, you're going to have that conversation with yourself. But the more you practice it, the easier it will become, and then pretty soon, they'll walk in the door and your bell won't even ring. But this person over here will ring it, right? That's how it works. There's always someone to ring the bell because we always have room to grow. And those are teachers. And that's how I start to think about it, is that person is my teacher. They're here to show me something about myself. And I know I haven't gotten it yet because I'm still uncomfortable when they come in the room. And if nothing else, it's so ingrained and I just can't find a different response. What I've started doing is just seeing them wrapped in love. And somehow that helps dissolve the other things I'm seeing in them as well. But it's a practice, right? But we're all here to grow. I know you wouldn't be here if you weren't wanting to grow. And growth comes through practice and through mindfulness. And that's what this is about. You know, Scripture reminds us to put off your old nature, which belongs to your former manner of life, and be renewed in the spirit of your minds. That is such a perfect fit with all of the other teachers that I brought here with me today. Isn't it? It's like those messages of truth are consistent throughout the various mystics, teachers, spiritual practices. That's how we know it's true. And as Georgie reminded us last week, one of the biggest things that we can do if we don't know what else to do is practice gratitude. And we're coming into this month here soon where everyone talks about gratitude, November with Thanksgiving. And Georgie reminded us, and because some of you weren't here, I wanted to share with you, she asked us to get some sort of a poster or paper and put it up on our fridge or somewhere in your house. And I am thankful for, and just fill up that paper every time you think of something. And I know we have Pete hung a board back here, a whiteboard for us, so that we can do it as a congregation as well. And then that Sunday before Thanksgiving, whatever, I'm not sure what that date is, but the Sunday before Thanksgiving, Reverend Georgie will be back speaking again. And she asked all of us to bring your posters, your papers, whatever it is that you were doing. So we can just fill up our loving space with gratitude. And if you can do nothing else, in my experience, if you can do nothing else but find something to be grateful for, that will move you along the continuum. And as I got up this morning and I was thinking about my talk, I had the question pop into my mind, but why does it matter? Right? Why does any of this really matter? And before I give you my answer to that question, I want to share a story with you, and perhaps you've heard it before. It's a little tale. So let's imagine that this beautiful fall weather, you want to go out for a walk so you can enjoy all of the colors that are around in the trees and the bushes and all of that. And so when you go for a walk, you walk out the door, and because we're creatures of habit, you probably head down the same street. I know I do. And you're just walking down the street, and all of a sudden, boop, you've fallen in a pothole. And it's a very deep, a very dark pothole. And you're very sad and depressed that you've fallen into the pothole. And it can take you quite some time to get yourself out of that pothole. But you do, and you continue on your way, and your walk is done for the day. Well, the next day, the next week, whatever it is, you're ready to go for a walk again. You head out on that same street, and you're walking down the street, and all of a sudden, boop, you're right in that pothole again, that same pothole. And this time you're depressed and you're sad and you're also frustrated with yourself that you have fallen in the very same pothole. How could that be? It takes you a while to get out, but you do, and you go on your way. And the next day, you're out for your daily walk again, and you're walking, and this time you know that pothole's coming, and you know what? Boop! You still fall in the pothole. But you get yourself out a little faster today, and you make your way. And the next day, you head out on your walk, and you're thinking, there's a pothole there. Today, I'm not going to fall in that pothole. I'm not. And the whole time you're walking, I'm not going to fall in the pothole. I'm not going to fall in the pothole. And boop, you're right down in the pothole. Oh, frustrated, frustrated, frustrated. But you get out, because now you find something to be thankful for. You remember the colors, and you get out of the pothole a little bit faster, and you go on your way. And the next day, okay, this is a process, right? You're getting my point here. I know it's repetitive, but this is the way it works. You head out for your walk, and you know that pothole's coming, and you're very mindful today. You're very mindful. You're very appreciative of the fact that you get to walk, and the fact that the colors are still so beautiful, the fact that it's not raining, so it's a pretty warm walk, and you know that pothole's coming, and you see it, and you stop, and you look in it. And you think, wow, I am so grateful that I am no longer falling in that pothole. But you're watching it, and you're thinking about it. And you even might dip your toe in a little bit and go, oh, no, not going to do that. And you continue on your way. And the next day you get up, and you walk down that street, and you're mindful, and you're grateful, and you kind of know the pothole's there, but you just walk right around it, and you keep on going. You don't even stop. And the next day, for your walk, you come out of the door, and you know what? Today, you decide to take a different street. And that's how it works. And that's how it works. And so when I ask myself, why does it matter? For me, it matters because when I'm in the pothole, I'm not much good for myself, or for those around me, or for the world in general. It's important. We all go into potholes. That's how we learn and grow. But if we stay in the pothole, for me, I'm not much good. So when I can be mindful of this process to keep myself walking down streets that don't have the potholes, because I've grown, so I no longer need the pothole experience, then I have so much love to give the world. And I know you do too. We all have so much to contribute, to offer the world. And we can do that when we're not stuck in our potholes. It's a funny word to say over and over again. Let's take it into meditation, Randy. You want to play for me a little bit? So I just invite you to get comfortable in your chair. However that is for you, feet on the floor. Close your eyes if you'd like, if that feels good. And as Randy plays something quietly in the background, let's just think about how much we want to be content in this moment. We don't want to be focused on the past or the future. And so our mindfulness practice, our practice of gratitude, keeps us present right here, right now. And at the same time, we know that we have a desire to change some of the habitual patterns that we know are not serving us or taking us down the streets that we'd like to go. And we know that our mindfulness practice, regardless of what streets we're going down, will keep us aware and grateful so that we don't slip and fall. Or when we do, and we will, that we'll have the strength to get up, the courage to know that it's all okay, and the ability to perhaps laugh a little bit at ourselves, because we don't want to take ourselves too seriously. For this wonderful life, this adventure that we're on, it's a journey. It's a process. And so wherever you are right now, be it thinking that the world is happening to you, or whether you're on the other end of the spectrum where in this moment you're feeling full unity with God, it's all okay. And as you leave here today and you go about your week, maybe just be open to your guidance telling you what path you might want to create. Where can you make a little change? Because change is never about the big things. Change is about the little moments where we're willing to do it differently. We're willing to see it differently. We're willing to speak differently or hear something differently. For those moments, as small as they may be, together they create momentum. And they can change our whole course. They can change us from fear to love. And when we can be in love, when we can be love, life is a magical adventure. And so it is, and so we allow it to be. Amen.